which is a big petroleum exporter.
It is amazing. A big one, my God.
Yeah. So I think, you go through this kind of agony and it kind of concentrates you on what's important and what's not important. Because you're from that quotation you read, we don't sit around and say, we're a little out of balance. I think we've got to do something to raise taxes on the consumer because you're consuming too much. Because, nobody's going to do it. There's no support for it. But when you get in a crisis...
There's no political will for it.
Then it either creates the political will or it creates the circumstances that force it.
Right.
When they can't borrow anymore, they got to reduce their spending.
Do we need, when you think about this, you're clearly out there supporting Senator Obama and have been, and you were among the people that came together for a council that he had or some kind of meeting, and I'm sure you were in conversation with Hank Paulson too. Hank Paulson, I'm told, is reaching out to everybody across all lines, looking to find...
Infrequently.
Infrequently.
I think the kind of thing that I'm trying to say here is consistent with what he's saying. Now, the problem is getting the act together and being convincing.
That's leadership.
That's
leadership.
Absolutely.
That's the capacity to have a fireside chat with the American people.
Absolutely. I've been reading about Roosevelt's fireside chat when the banks were all closed in 1933. And the most convincing speech he ever made, 8 days, I think, maybe 4 days after he was inaugurated. My fellow Americans, I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you bankers who know about a lot of this, but I want to talk to other Americans who don't understand it all. And in very simple terms, he explained what the difficulty was. It's an interesting point. He said, we're going to open up the banks again, the ones that are in good shape. We're going to open them up basically next week. They opened up the banks next week that were conceptually in good shape. I don't think anybody knew whether they were in good shape or not. How do you know after 7 days? But the banks they opened up, people brought their dollars back and reopened their deposits because they had confidence. They had confidence that Roosevelt had fixed things up, and that they believed him. And I am told not one of those banks that was opened up failed. It was a matter, nothing had changed substantively between March 4th and March 13th, or whatever the days were. I think those were the days, between Inauguration Day and March 13th. But suddenly people kind of sat back and took a big breath and said, wow, things are looking better. And I can have confidence in my bank again because President Roosevelt said so. And it was convincing. And it was kind of the bottom of the crisis, and from then on it got better. Financially, it took a little while for the economy to recover. But that's, it was...
leadership.
It was a difficult situation. It wasn't as complicated as this one. They didn't have derivatives and CDOs and CMOs and credit default swaps and all that stuff. It was bread and butter banking.
But we came back even stronger.
We came back eventually.
We had a World War II.
It did take a while, but that's what we want to avoid now. We want to avoid the effects on the real economy that would weaken us over a period of time. And in the 1930s, we went, after the financial crisis was in effect dealt with, there was a long years of very slow growth, and big decline, big unemployment. That's what the game is here. We talk about all this financial stuff, but the end of the day is we don't want that kind of a result.
Thank you for coming. It's always a pleasure to see you. I know you're off on a big trip to Asia, and the chance to talk to you, I think, is important.
This is all very complicated, but I hope we make some kind of sense.
Thank you. Paul Volker, former chairman of the Federal Reserve. It is, you get a lot of people who agree with this, one of the most respected voices in America on these matters. Back in a moment, we'll talk to the director of the IMF about these global considerations that Mr. Volker just mentioned. Stay with us.